Hello friends, my name is Emile and welcome back to another edition of the Hot Lap Classic. This time taking a look at the 1997 Lotus Elise GT1. Not a particularly successful GT1 car. This one had a lot of issues. I believe it only showed up to about 3 or 4 races before they got rid of it. But yeah, an interesting car nonetheless. I quite like the Elise GT1. I think it looks quite cool, especially in this racing mod, which is literally the only thing you can do with this car. Everything else is stock. 613 horsepower, 803 kilograms of weight, decent amount of torque to boot. Of course you can put super softs on it, but that is literally it. Anyways, it is going to have 6 laps around the Motorsports Land track to set the best time it possibly can. Our current leader is a Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 5 RS that set a time of 29.490, and it has nothing to worry about because the Elise won't get up there, but it will be interesting to see what sort of a time this can set. It will be even more interesting when we actually have some Elises around, so we can actually see sort of what time the sort of stock Elise is set and compare it to the GT1. But yeah, cars are obviously quite overlooked in this game. I don't think it ever showed up in anything else other than this, which is a bit of a shame because again, I really like the way this thing looks. Not the most impressive of GT1 cars by any stretch of your imagination. In fact, you can't stretch your imagination far enough to make this into a good one, but yeah. Still a interesting car, certainly, and I wish it did better. I wish it was in more games, along with cars like the 911 GT1. That was actually quite successful, yet that's never in any games. I'm not talking about the race versions as well, I'm talking like road cars. I'd like to see the road car versions, because like the race cars in most games are just like so-so, I don't care, but road cars are more interesting to me usually. And there is road car versions of this vehicle. I think there's like 1 or 2. Here is a 32.102 to start us off is not bad. Car's very weird to drive, this one. It feels good until you start pushing this car's limits, and then it all falls to pieces. This car does not like the grass. It does not like the curbs. It does not like driving anywhere over its limits. But once you're sort of within those limits, yeah, it's good. Drives nicely, handles well. It's quick. It's certainly one thing I cannot take away from this car is that it is rather quick in a straight line, but it's just like my usual sort of attempts to get some more time, you know, by doing like little cuts over corners and cuts over the curbs and so on. You have to know what you're doing because the Elise will just snap on you and spit you out if it deems your driving to be unacceptable, so yeah. In that aspect, probably not going to be the quickest car, 31.767. I think that actually beats the S2000 GT1, which is probably the closest thing to this car. Of course, the only difference is the S2000 GT1, not a real car, as I found out. You know, I was sort of trying to find out more about that car. Turns out it's basically a Gran Turismo concept, although later they did sort of remold it into the Emile GT1, which was an actual car. Didn't GT1 race, it was basically a body kit and a turbo for kit for the S2000, but yeah, one of the better cars in GC4 apparently, that as well, so. And never mind, as we spin the car out, so 31.7 is going to be the best time the Elise can get. Not a bad time. I mean, comparing it to the race cars, yeah, it's not quite as good. You know, the Viper has 0.5 seconds over this. The Castrol, which I wrongly said I think had beaten the Viper in the last episode, yeah, it didn't. So, yeah. Also, I can't remember who this car was requested by. I think it was Thunder. I should really look. I usually do look, but for some reason I decided not to this time. But yeah, I believe this car was requested by Thunder. I will double check that in a second. But yeah, a decent enough time from the Elise. It's an alright driving car, you just really need to know what you are doing, and the best lap times all over the place. You could probably go quicker, 31.5 is probably doable, but I don't think much more than that. Anyways, let's go and find out where it places on our leaderboard. Onto the leaderboard then, and the Lotus Elise GT1 goes into 15th place with a 31.767. Beating out the Honda S2000 GT1 and Venturi Atlantique 300, losing out slightly to the Mazda Speed Demio and a Dodge Intrepid. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Hot Lap Classic. If you have cars you'd like to request for this series, you can do so in the comments section and go into the description for a full request list form. Thank you all very much for watching, and until next time, a farewell.